Hey there. You probably know the Video Creator Show is brought to you by VidChops.com. What is VidChops.com? Well, it is an editing service that will take the horrible burden of editing off your back. We all know editing, video editing, it's tedious. It takes forever. But what if you had a professional who did it for you? You go to sleep, you wake up, it's done. Wouldn't that be magical? VidChops.com. Hire a professional, save yourself time and energy, and take your YouTube channel to the next level. Welcome to another episode of the Video Creator Show. I am Grant, and of course, on this show, we talk to people who have achieved a certain level of success on YouTube. Today, I'm speaking with Anton Daniels. His life is an open book. His YouTube channel that shares his name currently sits at over 150,000 subscribers and over 26 million total channel views. Anton also has a podcast called The Millionaire Morning Show, where he and his guests talk money, culture, relationships, and money. Anton is business savvy and is sharing his perspective and life in general on his channel. He covers all kinds of topics, seriously, like everything. His life really is an open book, and today I'll be speaking with him about how he built it all and more. Anton, how you doing today? Thank you so much for being here.
I'm absolutely phenomenal. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, also a pretty good day, a solid Monday. I really can't complain. By the way, you look great. I love the jacket.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, I just got back from Miami, so I'm feeling real Miami Vice.
Yeah, right on. So it seems like a lot of your time is spent in either Detroit or Miami. Is that fair to say?
That is. My home is Detroit. Born and raised in inner city Detroit. My office, where I'm at right now, is right in the heart of downtown Detroit. I can't find myself ever even thinking about the possibility of leaving. I love this city. I love it because of all four seasons, but more importantly, it's just like a phenomenal culture. It's like a hidden culture here. But then from the weather perspective, in the wintertime, I have to go back and forth to Miami. And so Miami is like my unofficial second home. But yeah, Detroit is home. Miami is my second home. But I travel all over the United States and then abroad. So
So it seems like most of your business that you've built has been in Detroit. Can you walk us through your origin story, kind of how you originally made your money? Like you have a video where you talk about life as a VIP high roller at the casino. This was 4 years ago. So I mean, obviously you've had some money to
numbers have
throw
gotten
around.
bigger. The numbers
Yeah.
have gotten a lot bigger. I can tell you that. Like they'll fly
Uh-huh.
you anywhere. They'll fly you to Macau. But I think that my origin story is kind of very much similar to everybody in Metro Detroit, especially the Midwest, simply because my foundation is basically centered around the idea that the majority of the people here in Metro Detroit, we grew up basically looking to get into the plant. Ford, Chrysler, and GM is the headquarters here. It was the automotive capital of the world, especially coming up in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And so the idea that you can even get directly into somewhere where you can make $30 an hour, $35 an hour. And at that time, we had been seeing a lot of people, driving the big cars, the Cadillacs, and that was the goal, coming up in high school a lot of times. Until my father had sent me to private school and I had seen a completely different side of it, right? Being raised in the inner city and then my father making a sacrifice. Instead of buying a new car, he sent me to, a private middle school. And then I went back into one of the best public high schools in Detroit. Growing up, that's what we wanted to do. The goal was to graduate high school and to get in the plant. And then I did. My brother was working in a steel mill and I lived, ate, breathed, slept steel mill, right? I was working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Dang.
double time on Sundays, triple time on holidays. And directly out of high school, I made $118,000 in my first year in the plant, right? But it didn't give me discipline. Just because you make a lot of money, it doesn't necessarily mean that you understand how money works, right? And so the transition period came when I lost my job and, before the recession hit in 2007, 2008, because I realized that just as much money as I made, I did have a mentor that told me, Anton, put up 25% of everything you make. And so I did that and I invested the overwhelming majority of that. But when a recession hit, I was just like everybody else. I was out of a job. I moved back into my mom's basement. I had a daughter on the way. I was married. So it was a really rough time. But the one really good decision that I did make was that I did not touch. I acted like I was broke, and I did not touch the initial monies that I was putting up when I was making all of that money every single year. So that was kind of my origin story right out of high school. I didn't take on a bunch of student debt or anything like that. That's kind of the foundation of really what set the precedent of how I became who I am today.
Hmm. And so once you moved into your mom's basement and you
Mhm.
have this savings that you're not touching, so like what
It was
is your
invested.
it was invested, great move, obviously.
Mhm.
What do you do next? Like, did you kind of just wait for the investments to grow? I'm guessing you started making some real moves here.
No, I went and got two full-time jobs. One of them was a sales job. And then I went to school. I went to community college. I went to Oakland Community College. My biggest thing was I was always an entrepreneur. So I was always running businesses and things like that. But prior to the recession hitting, I was really into selling products, right? So I would, always take the money that I made and I would go and find a product that I could flip, whether it was a car, whether it was glasses or anything like that, right? And so the thing that I really, really leaned into was sales. But then as I seen e-commerce starting to evolve online, my biggest thing then became, okay, I'm making money online, but how can I cut out the middleman? You was
Mm,
using eBay back then. You was using a lot of different sites and platforms, but I hated the idea that I couldn't go direct to customer and I had to pay a fee and I was subjected to what was happening with PayPal, right? And so what I did was I started to, explore the possibility of building my own websites. Now I wasn't really sexy back then because designers, developers, and all of that other type of stuff, they weren't really as heralded as they are today. User experience, but I was always trying to figure out how I can create a better user experience for the customer versus what it was that they were experiencing on the platforms that they were buying initially from. So even if they would buy something from me, I would package, different little pamphlets inside of it to say, hey, come directly to me, come to my website if you're looking to order again or whatever, and I would focus on customer service. But that sparked the whole idea of software engineering, right? Which is the thing that I then went into when I went to community college. I
mhm.
was going to school full time. I was working two full-time jobs. Online school had just really started to take off at that time, and so I got my software engineering degree. I didn't take on any debt because I went to community college, and then I leveraged the position that I got to take less money in order to get to a college that actually, or go into a space where I went to work at the University of Michigan, and the University of Michigan actually paid for the rest of my education to go to a major university when I transferred over from a community college. So I went to school basically debt free. Then I figured out that assets are literally something that you can leverage in any capacity, right? University of Michigan double matched my 403b, which is same thing as a 401k. They
Mm,
have phenomenal benefits. Like it was one of the best places that I ever worked at. And one of the beautiful things was at that time, because I was doing so well in my own business and I had transitioned into other aspects of business, I wasn't dependent on my actual salary in order to survive. And so going broke, and that's why I said my origin story is very much the inception of who I am today, taught me how to live on less, which then allowed for me to leverage every other asset that I had outside of business to be able to reinvest it back into the things that ultimately would, pay off from an asset appreciating asset perspective. So it allowed
mhm.
for me to be able to capitalize on what was going on in the economy. And then in addition to that, from a business perspective, I had some small successes in that too. So
Mhm. And it seems like being able to live on less, certainly in my experience, is a kind of superpower because you end up you don't have this luxurious lifestyle or you don't have high rent to pay. And I feel like that makes it so much easier to plan for the future and to make long term investments or plans. So instead of like worrying, how am I going to pay rent this month? How am I going to make this car payment? You can instead think about, what is the optimal move for, 2 years down the line for me, 5 years down the line. And
it's
that
even
just,
harder
it can
though.
make such a huge difference.
It's even harder when you got a newborn kid and a wife though. And you
Mhm.
coming from a space where you used to having money. You used to driving around a Bentley. You used to making 118, $120,000 a year. I had a Cadillac, I had a Trailblazer SS, I had a bunch of different cars. So to have that fall, that humility, I
Mm.
think that that was the real, learned lesson. But once I went broke, in my mind, everybody was broke in 2008. So it was just like, once I started really, really making money, I stayed in my mom's. I mean, my daughter was happy to be in the same household as her grandfather and grandmother, and everything was, we was just like one big family. But once I started to make money again, I didn't feel the need in order to spend any money in order to make myself feel good or to prove myself. And the minds of the people that didn't care about me or what was happening in my life in the first place. So it allowed for me to really, really leverage every single thing that I had, to build up my assets and to build up my businesses, which I then capitalized off of, and it was a blessing. It was tremendous.
Hmm. And so when all that happens, what made you decide to start this YouTube channel? Because you really do, like, you have a video climbing through the abandoned Pontiac Silverdome ruins. You have another where you talk about your life as a VIP high roller and kind of
Mhm.
the very fascinating culture at a casino where
Yep.
they're trying to get your money, and kind of it's like the lap of luxury. And then you have lots of podcast clips on your channel, which are fantastic. So, but you kind of like, and then you have update videos where you're kind of talking about, what you think your life might be like in a few years.
Yep.
You cover so many different things.
Yep.
Why did you start this channel in the first place, and like why did you make it like this? Because usually when somebody starts a channel, they think like, okay, I'm gonna be the guitar guy or something. I'm gonna
Mhm.
play guitar, teach guitar, and that's my thing. But you, I mean, yeah, your life is an open book, and that's what you do. So why did you start this channel, and what's your kind of overall philosophy with it?
I started my YouTube channel for a couple different reasons. The first reason why I started my YouTube channel was to document the journey. Um, I think that when I thought back at who my great 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 grandfather was, I knew who my grandfather was, I knew who my great grandfather was, but I didn't really understand my lineage to the point to where I can truly grasp the lessons from the people that came before me, right? It's like it's a waste, you lose all of that information. So I felt like if I documented the journey, I would be able to truly like speak to future generations of me, um, based off of lived experience, and they would be able to just look at all of my videos and see everything that I've been able to experience, what my thoughts are, where I explored, the things and the places I traveled, and all of that. So it was a documentation process, but it was twofold because the other aspect of it was a marketing opportunity for me, right? And I was able to market because I always felt like who you are online is just as important as who you are in real life,
Hmm.
especially with the way that where everything was going. It was an opportunity for me to separate myself from a marketing aspect in corporate America, right? And so, um, being authentic in who you are showed that you were relatable, that you were a cultural fit, and it was a way for me to market myself in corporate America, and it worked, right? Once I started once I started my journey into corporate America after graduating University of Michigan, then I went and worked user experience in large banks and things like that, and then worked my way up to VP, vice president of user experience and stuff like that. It was incredible the amount of responses and the opportunities that came along with being transparent, right? And so it was twofold. And when I started my YouTube journey, it was really documenting the process, documenting the journey. I always thought that at one point I was going to be an architect, and I fell in love with a lot of urbex and abandoned buildings and things like that, which you then see me exploring the now demolished Pontiac Silverdome. That video went viral. Um, I explored the Packard plant, and I would go to different cities and explore what was going on in there, Gary, Indiana, and places like that. But while also documenting my journey from a business perspective, from a family perspective, this just everything that was going on in my mind, I needed to get it out. And it was a way for me to be able to get it out from a creative perspective. I never started a YouTube channel to make money from YouTube. 1,000 subscribers, I'm like, that's more than enough. You know how many 1,000 people are if you just sat them all out, you know what I'm saying, like that?
So many.
Yeah. So once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm like, this is all I need. That's all I ever wanted. I was doing really, really well in life from a business perspective and everything. And so, being able to document the journey and market myself and being absolutely honest and transparent with who I was my shtick. And it just, as I evolved as a person throughout the years, I've changed, I've grown, I've evolved into the things that I'm interested in or I'm no longer interested in. I didn't want to do urbex anymore. And from a YouTube perspective, I've always believed that I'm never going to get stuck. I didn't care how fast the videos was growing. I didn't care what videos was the most popular. My thing was, I'm going to do the thing that I want to do. I don't care about how many subscribers I get. And what happened was the people that rock with me authentically rock with me because I was authentic. They bought into me instead of buying into the thing that was interesting about me or whatever it is that I was doing. And so I found that the people that rock with me are incredibly loyal because I'm authentic and I just give them, the real me and how I feel, or right or wrong. I'm just going to be absolutely transparent. And so that's kind of how my YouTube journey started.
Mm-hmm. And so now that you have this channel, you have well over 100,000 subscribers, you have a podcast. Can you talk about how you've been able to make it a business? Obviously, you have ads, you have a Patreon, you have a website. Like how does this?
A huge
Yeah, like
I have well over 4,000 members in my Patreon.
That's wow.
Yeah, I got a huge, and it ranges all the way from $9 to $49. So I have a huge Patreon, but more importantly, I own like 7 different channels. But a lot of the different channels are offshoots from the different things that happen in my life. So, for example, my regular Anton Daniels channel, they may have 155, 160,000 subscribers, some crap like that. I have no idea. But that is the channel that I kind of just anything that happens goes. You never know. I do a lot of interviews. I interviewed a former mayor, basketball players, gangsters, Instagram models, anything you can think of. I didn't have them in, on that seat. I travel to them and I go and interview them and stuff like that, right? Or it could be me documenting my journey, me buying a new watch or something like that. Me traveling Miami, just giving people an update. But that's kind of like the central brainchild, of people authentically rocking with me. And then, like, for example, I remember one night, this was like a year ago, and I had, I was live streaming and, people were, I was worried about people going out. I just had a bad feeling of people going outside and getting into trouble on the biggest drinking night of the year, the day after Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving or whatever. And so I'm like, hey, y'all, I'll live stream overnight. Y'all just come and kick it with me. And it was just organic. And, it would happen the next night and the next night. And I would just do it over the weekend in order to keep people safe in the house. And then I would start it off and I would just say, listen, I don't know, because it kept growing. And I was like, I don't know who y'all keep talking or who y'all keep telling, but this is Fight Club. And the first rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club. And everybody would start laughing, right? And then it turned into I've made a completely different channel to offshoot it from my regular channel. And it's called This is Fight Club. And now, that channel makes an egregious amount of money, right? And so, it's that. And then the Millionaire Morning Show, which I talk about finances and money and how I've been able to build things. And that's got over 120,000 subscribers, which is completely different, right? And then you got Don't Do Coke in the Bathroom, which is largely inspired by the sign that's in the back. Here, let me do that for y'all. There you go. Don't Do Coke in the Bathroom. That's largely inspired by that sign, which I then take the archived interviews from all of the different people that I interview and I, put it there, and all of the interviews eventually come off of Anton Daniels and it lives there. So all of these different things is largely the same thing that I've been doing before, except for, I have a growing, much bigger audience that then want different things. And instead of me trying to keep it all in central one place and adding playlists, I create that environment, I put it over there, and then it turns into its own monster, right? And I got another channel, Lapeef Let's Talk, where I'm a partner with somebody, and we do different panel interviews and or panel debates and stuff like that. And so, my strategy is that I don't have one. I just do what I feel like doing when I want to do it, and it turns into something of its own being, and then people absolutely love it because I don't have a formula. I just do what I want to do.
Which is incredible. And I feel like the strength of doing what you really want to do is certainly, in my experience, it becomes much easier to flow with what you're doing. In a way, it saves you a lot of time to do that. Because I find if I have something I don't really want to be doing, it's a lot easier to procrastinate or to be less efficient with how I do it. Whereas if you are actually working on something that is important to you, I feel like the time goes by faster, I get more done, and ultimately am able to do more.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
I think that the biggest thing though is that for me, I just refuse to let people put me into a box. You know, people wanted to make me an urban explorer. People wanted to make me a relationship coach because I've been married since I was 22 years old, for almost 19 years now. And I mean, they want to make me the money guy because I make a lot of money. I spend a lot of money at any given day. You never know, you might see me in your local casino with $50,000 on the table just because I feel like it. And it doesn't even do anything. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's just a part of the lifestyle, right? They wanted to make me the church guy because I love God and I love, you know, Jesus, and I was raised in the church and all of that. But then at the same time, occasionally you might hear me say a couple curse words or two. You know, you can't put me in a box. I'm just literally a human that's unwilling to do the things that everybody else feels like I should do, and I do it, and I just embrace doing what I want to do. And I think that that's the thing. People vicariously, in a way, kind of lives through you because they wish that they could do it, but they don't want to get canceled or they don't want to lose their job or something. I don't care. I just made it a part of my being and who I am. So
Hmm. Why do you think a lot of people struggle so much to live the way you do? And you said people are afraid to lose their job or to get canceled. They're probably
yep,
afraid of criticism. There's a
yep.
lot of fear involved. But like, what do you think it is deep down that makes it hard to for people to actually pursue and be their authentic selves?
It's the same thing in high school. All we are kids that never really graduated high school mentally, right?
Mm,
Most people wanted to be something, or they authentically were something different than whatever it was that they were chasing, right? Because we were all trying to impress somebody. It's the high school kid that would love to get the attention of the the number one football player, right? Or whatever. And the reality of it is that people think they know what other people think or want. In reality, more people are like you than you realize. You're just afraid to explore what that truly looks like. So, for example, I've always said it's 8 billion plus people on this earth. It's a strong possibility I can get 100,000 of them to rock with me because it's more, you have your own niche. I've seen people get great off of cat videos, and somebody that wanted to be a rapper or a producer, I said, hey man, that's probably not going to work for you. Why don't you create a channel where you can create lo-fi beats and then have an animation and have people study to the music? And it's incredibly successful, right? One guy, he thought that he wanted to be popular because that's the things that was popular on his YouTube
mm,
feed, is
mhm.
talking about relationships. But he really liked animals. And I said, okay, well, why don't you do an animal channel? And it's incredibly successful, right? And so the thing is that people follow trends. They follow the thing that's popular to them instead of following and trying to understand where their core is, where their audience is, where their tribe is. And your tribe is often at times more closely like you. It's just that they don't even realize it because you haven't given them a reason to really identify who they are yet. And the minute that you start to be who you authentically are, you'll start to find that there's more people like you than you realize, or it's more people that feel like you that may not have a platform, or they may not have visibility, or they may not have the courage to be able to say the things that you say. And so I think that the opportunity is in the authenticity, not in following a trend or the thing that's the most popular.
Mhm.
So
And what is like your best piece of advice for actually being able to do that? Because sometimes it is actually hard to know what you want and who you are. Because like
mm,
the examples you gave, some people they think they want to be a rapper, but they actually they love animals, and
yep.
that's actually a deeper love than their love of rap.
Mhm.
Like how do you like untangle the cultural programming from who you actually are, because I have found with myself that it can get really messy.
Well, it's supposed to. That's the beauty of it, right? The Anton Daniels channel is not a channel that specifically tells you or gives you or navigates it according to whatever it is that you think I should navigate it by. It's a channel that shows you that I'm still trying to figure it out and discover myself even at 40 years old, right?
Mm,
So think about it for a minute, right? Most people say, I'm trying to find my purpose or I'm trying to live in a thing that I love. But that's subjective because the thing that I believe that I was supposed to do at 20 is different than 30 and 30 than 40 and 40. I'm pretty sure at 50, I'll be different than I am at 40 today, right? So the discovering of yourself is ongoing. Your purpose is revealed to you through the work. And so the entanglement isn't the thing that you should be trying to untangle. It's the embracing of documenting the untangling while you failing, while you winning, because people want to see you in the journey. The journey is the process. The finished product is for everybody else, right? My thing is, I always tell people, your purpose is always going to be revealed to you through the work. And so who you are and how you continue to evolve is what the channel is about. You can try to be a rapper and show that you've failing miserably as a rapper, and you could be talking about it while you're playing with your little paper animal. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. People resonate with authenticity. And when you're honest about it, then that's when they start to really capture who it is that you are. And then while you're doing that, you'll discover what your true gift and your art is throughout the process. You don't have to be a finished product and then say, I'm gonna start this channel about rapping when I become a rapper. The journey of becoming a rapper is much more, watchable than the finished product. I mean, think about it, Real World, MTV, back in the day, Road Rules, all of these type of things. The reality, we are the new rappers. We are the new reality shows. We are all of that, right? And so when you think about that, you start to really realize that the only thing that I got to do is start cutting the camera on and talking to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one thing that, as a general rule, we're still figuring out, because for so long, the media was controlled by large corporations. And obviously it still is to a certain extent, but now more than ever, I think the individual has a lot of power. Like, you can turn on a camera and start talking to it, and you don't have to get filtered through, a bunch of guys in suits with the golden key to the airwaves. It's just, you can start making something, and it can be huge or it can be small, but you will attract an audience, and you'll be able to express yourself and potentially make a living off of it as well. And I think that's something we're still figuring out, because social media is so new that we're still kind of in this this phase of, how do I follow a trend? How do I do what's popular? And that you can do that. I mean, there's cash cow channels out there that work, but in a way, that's like a completely different mindset than I think what most people want to do on YouTube or social media, which is kind of just like be yourself in a sort of flowing way.
If you stop focusing on the money, you'll become incredibly successful. I've done everything from urban exploration. I've taken people through the journey of me building my own restaurant on my YouTube channel, like through the process, permitting. Oh man, the inspectors is doing me dirty. I'm having a problem. Me and my father is building this restaurant together, and then 3 weeks later, my father had passed away. If that's not one of the most captivating things in real time, taking people through this process, I don't know what is, but it's real, it's authentic, right? And I'm going through the depression. I don't want to stay home. So I went and lived in hotels for over the next 6 months. And, and then I came back and I was like, you know what, I got to finish this thing. And then on the grand opening, everybody showed up, and, because they were invested and they were driving. I had lines literally wrapped around different blocks all the way going down the street on grand opening day. And then the day that I decided to get out of the restaurant business because I didn't want to be there anymore because it was too time, sensitive. And then I would take my daughter to work, daddy work day and all of this. And I would show her what it's like all the way from the bottom up to the corporate executive offices and things like that. And so for me, the journey is the juice. That's what it is. Like, it's not the finished product. It's not all of that. And the minute that you stop focusing on the money is when you'll make way more of it. Because when you do things for money, you do the thing that you think that people want to see. My most popular videos are the ones that I didn't even think was I just put it out there because it was what I was feeling at the time. And then it just exploded. You know what I'm saying? But the ones that I thought that I was making for the people was the ones that didn't catch any traction. So I just do what I want to do. I don't care. I genuinely don't care what anybody thinks, what they, I just do it. And the more that I don't care, the more that people love me for it. It's weird.
And how long do you feel like it took you to develop that mindset? Because I mean, you could call it a thick skin, you could call it authenticity,
Mhm.
but like, was that decades in the making? Is this something that you felt like you always at least had a thread of?
Never cared. I never cared what anybody thought. Think about it like this. Do you know how difficult it is for most people to walk down the street with a camera like this? And
Yeah.
they will be incredibly self-conscious. I love it. I don't see anybody when I'm doing it. Like I'm so animated in person. I'm excited every time I go to the airport. Anytime, I go outside, there's people, oh, Anton, what's going on? I love you, whatever. Like I'm that type of person. And so I genuinely don't care. I believe that other people should care more about me being there than me caring about what other people think about what it is that I'm doing. And so I'm genuinely just like, let's have a good time. Let's party. Who's with me? Let's do it. I failed. I was successful. I failed another time. Right now, right? And doing a journey. I'm building my first house. I've never built a house before. I built a restaurant. I built a lot of different things. This is a new challenge for me. And so it's just like, I don't really know what the permitting process for this is. I don't really know. Do I need to get builders, whatever? So I'm just taking people through the journey for that now. And it's just like, I do what I want to do. And I fail a lot of times and I'm incredibly successful other times, but it's just fun. Like life is incredibly fun and it can be fun no matter what your circumstance is, just because when you go back and you look at those vlogs and you relive that moment, you realize that that was a moment in time that you captured that you can never redo. That's going to be there to live forever. And so I embrace it. I absolutely embrace it.
And so you have a lot of different conversations with a lot of different people
Oh yeah.
across your channels. Is there something that you feel like you've learned from all those conversations? Like with this podcast, obviously there's kind of a theme of how to grow on YouTube, and I do feel like there's a lot of golden nuggets that I've kind of taken from it. But like, in all of the conversations you've had, is there something you feel like you've learned about people, humanity, that you did not previously understand?
Yeah, that everybody is self-conscious and everybody got issues, even no matter how much money they got and no matter how famous they are. I've talked to some of the people that y'all think that are the most confident, they got all of the money, and you know what? They go back and they read the comments and they worried about what everybody else thinks about them the minute that you post on Instagram or YouTube. All of these celebrities, all of these people, they care so much. They will block you. I said that one of my childhood dreams was to, have courtside seats at the Pistons, right? And I'm a season ticket holder for the Pistons and I sit courtside. And these guys are so super sensitive. You would think they're in NBA arenas, they're super rich, they got all of it, and they are sensitive. They get mad, they get emotional. People are people. When you remove the money, when you remove the fame, when you remove the visibility, they are just like you. And the minute that you realize that they are just like you will remove all of these things that are preventing you from really living in your purpose and becoming the person that you're supposed to be, because you think that it's not possible. It is possible. And they did it and you can too. And so the only thing that you have to do is embrace who you authentically are. Now, there's some other things that go along with it. You should be able to create good thumbnails and make sure you put all your tags in. And so the technical stuff is the technical stuff. But the reality is that nothing beats good content. Nothing beats people being authentic and being transparent about how it is that they're doing things. And you cannot, no matter how many different ideas it is, you are the only version of you and you are unique. And if you embrace it, you will be incredible. And it may take some time. I'm not one of those people that blew up overnight. My audience has grown organically, right? But you need to continue. The people that are the most successful are the ones that are authentic and they embrace it long enough to actually let it work for them. It's like a pebble. You throw it down a hill, throw it down the snowbank, and it's going to be very small, and it may be small for a while, but once it catches traction, you can't turn that thing off. And another thing for people, the internet is forever. The internet is forever. So once you put it on camera, I know I tell y'all to be all authentic selves, but Be a
But be
little
careful.
bit careful.
That is very good
Be
advice.
a little bit more careful. It's internet's forever. You don't want to do that.
Hmm. I mean, that is one thing that I've kind of dealt with too. It's like I know that authenticity is important. That's certainly been my experience. But then sometimes it feels like maybe I overshared or I went too
Never.
far or it's I mean, yeah, it's like how is that just a mistake worth making? Like
I
oversharing.
don't think it's a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake. I think that it's great. I overshare every day. I overshare every single day. Listen, the internet knows my wife, it knows my daughter, it knows my mother. The only thing that I could possibly think of that I probably overshare is I am a lot more careful the more visibility I get as far as my location, right? Sometimes,
Mm,
like if I post something on my story or something like that, I'll take a picture and then post it like an hour after I had already left, simply because it's a safety thing when it comes to your family and stuff like that. So, outside of that, man, my wife is a part of my story. My daughter is a part of my story, and so I don't think that there's a such thing as oversharing unless it's something illegal or something like that. But outside of that, I don't think there's anything that's oversharing.
hmm. Yeah, and I feel like in a way you end up wasting less time too if you're like trying to be this thing and sort of putting all this energy into a persona.
Yeah,
It takes so much more energy to maintain a persona than it does to just kind of like be an authentic version of yourself, which is
I
odd.
agree.
You would think it would be the other way around, but I mean, I feel like if you really think about it deeply, that does make the most sense. Like you can just flow with yourself and just talking to the camera or whatever it is. Maybe even if you make highly edited content, like with my channel, it was a lot of really highly edited videos.
Yep.
But that's what I wanted to do. I liked doing the silly photoshops. I
Mhm.
liked doing like not doing that would have taken more energy than doing that, even though
I
it was a
agree.
lot of like making videos in a dark room.
I agree. And I think that I stopped, I don't even really edit my videos anymore. I cut the camera on and I walk and I talk. And what I've also learned is that it's helped me in corporate America, it's helped me in business, it's helped me in life because you don't realize how many ums you say or
Mm,
the different things that we do subconsciously that we just think is normal until you start to look at yourself on a video and you're like, oh my God, I sound stupid, or I don't like the way I
yeah.
sound, or all of this other type of stuff, right? It's helped me. It's helped me with my speech. It's helped me to be able to communicate with corporate executives more effectively. It's helped me to be able to sell better, customers, the whole nine yards. And so there are millions and millions of different benefits that come along with embracing it that doesn't even necessarily have to do with money, but you can leverage it in other ways if you know how to communicate. If you have the courage to communicate with an audience without reservation, even if you think that you look stupid, it's so much better by just being authentically you. I
Hmm.
promise you, it's so much better, and the money comes with it. It just
Hmm.
comes with it. I make an egregious amount of money. I mean, I make a lot of money in business because I still own my businesses. I own 17 properties in real estate. I'm a silent investor in multiple different restaurants. I got a lot going on outside of uh, content creation, but I make an egregious amount of money in content creation at this point in my life.
Hmm. And so your background with corporate America and kind of
Yep.
being involved with banks and very like buttoned up industries,
Yep.
that is an interesting mix with content creation. Because usually, I mean, the typical story of a content creator is kind of like, I made videos in my bedroom with a webcam, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but kind of coming up like from these buttoned up industries, like how did you merge those two worlds? Did it feel alien at first?
Well,
And
I
what do you
realized
think
that
it taught you?
I realized that everything in life, whether it's content creation, business, corporate America, is networking. And networking isn't going to a networking event. Networking is leveraging the people that surround you and the tools that you have in order to create more visibility to yourself to make you more relatable, right? In corporate America, for example, people don't move up because they're the best at their job. You're supposed to be good at your job. People move up because people like you. right? And so if you notice, if you look at it like a pyramid, the higher up you go, the more positions it is, right? CEO, president, vice president, directors, all of these other type of people, right? There's more people towards the bottom. So as you go towards the top, for me, it was how do I separate myself where I make myself more marketable, whereas, I didn't know what I didn't know, or I didn't have the visibility into this person. How do I get into this particular person's purview and so on and so forth? Since 2011, 12, I haven't, asked for a job or sent in a job application or anything like that. 37 years old back in 2019, before the pandemic. Obviously, we didn't know the pandemic was coming. Sold the restaurant, retired from corporate America, and I was happy. I said, yeah, I'll just make a YouTube video here or there. But I'm about to enjoy my life. I had made enough money to be able to live the rest of my life without having to worry about it. My daughter's college is funded and everything. Part of my journey was somebody that I had worked with, had become a big corporate executive at another bank, right? And it was like, Anton, just come and check out what we're doing over here or whatever. So I said, oh, okay. I went and visited. Hey, I'll create a position for you if you come back. No, I'm not really interested. Oh, they offer me close to $1 million a year, and I don't ever have to go into the office. Well, what? Now I'm back in corporate America, and and I was telling people, I said, yo, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Anton, you crazy? They all killed me online for it. And now they're like, man, that was the smartest thing ever. Because I still live stream. It doesn't affect what it is that I do. I don't go into the office ever. I've created my own spaces. I travel wherever I want to go. But they pay me an egregious amount of money. And so that's a part of the journey, though. It's like, hey, guys, I'm about to go back into corporate America. What do y'all think? Oh, no, you stupid. You a millionaire. You shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, but they paid me an egregious amount of money. Why not do it? So, that's just a part of it. It's just a part of the journey for me.
And so that money that you're getting, like, do you feel like it's still, like, it is necessary for what you're doing right now? Like,
what, corporate America money?
Yeah.
No, I invest 100% of it. I haven't touched a regular paycheck that I've gotten from a job since 2012.
Oh, wow.
2011. Yeah, I haven't touched a regular paycheck since then. So every bonus, everything, it all goes and it gets invested. So every dime gets invested.
Dang. So, like, what? I guess this is sort of a lightning question, but, like, is there a piece of investing advice that you think is really important? Like, what do people do wrong with investing?
They gamble. They look at the stock market as something that they can time. They look at real estate as something that, they can get a quick dollar off. Everybody thinking of everything quick, and they're not looking at it from a 10 to 15 year view. I'll give you an example. If somebody came to you today and they said, listen, and you have it, you have the money. Let's say you have $100,000 put up, and they say, hey, I need $50,000 from you in order to invest in my car wash. And most people would say, no, I wouldn't give it to him. Like, I'd have to know you or whatever, so on and so forth. But what is the questions that you would ask if you were seriously considering it, right? These are your hard-earned dollars. You traded in your time for them. You saved hard. Who knows how long it took you to put that money up. And you got half of it. You had to pay taxes from it. And now you got half of it, and this person is asking you. Now, it could be a good investment, but it could be a horrible investment. And so the questions that I then ask people, because most people want shortcuts. They want to know what's the good company, or they just go with whatever is popular, whatever, Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, whatever, Bitcoin. We see how that went, right? The thing that I ask people is, what questions would you ask that person in order to better vet whether or not it's a smart investment, right? And most people will say, well, when am I going to get my money back? What's the business plan? My line of questioning is completely different. I want to know who you are as a person and how many other investors are coming in on this. And are we taking on debt? And where's the nearest car wash as a result of it? And how far is it going to get up to running? And what's the exit strategy? And how much equity do I have in this particular venture as a result of it? And is it going to be a hand car wash, or is it going to be self car wash? And what are the maintenance costs? And how are we going to be able to fight for workers, considering that it's very difficult to hire workers and you're going to probably have to overpay? And do we solve for it with automation? And where is it going to be located, in a winter-based Midwest type area, or is it going to be on, the East Coast or the West Coast, or so on and so forth? And so I'm going to ask an egregious amount of questions and better to understand exactly what this investment is, because the more I understand it, the more I can make an informed decision. And it's the same thing when it comes to making any investment, whether it's investing in a stock, because all a stock is an opportunity to invest in a company that's not privately owned, it is publicly traded. And you have all of the information. You need to understand who the CEO is, who the COO is, who the CTO is, what is a long-term strategy, right? Amazon Web Services is much different than Microsoft's Azure, because Microsoft is leveraging that platform not only for businesses, but they also leverage it in order to power Xbox. And, they also have subscription-based services, which kind of overlaps into how Apple is using a cloud, because instead of just selling you one product, they're selling you the services because they want you to be immersed in the ecosystem. And this is something that Tim Cook pioneered. But then when they lost Johnny Ives, how was things going to go with the iPhone? Oh, wow. But they make a lot of money from the iPhone and the iMac, but that's not the thing that they're selling you. They're selling you the ecosystem because they want you to continue to be immersed in it. And the services is where they make their reoccurring income. The Apple Care, the Apple Fitness Plus, all of these type of things. And so my point is that when you better understand the product and the industries, and where I tell people to start is start with the thing that you love. If you're a gamer, for example, what's the difference between a PS5 and an Xbox, right? Oh, I like the PS5. Well, why do you like the PS5? Because PS5 started out first, and that's just the part of, so you're immersed in an ecosystem, right? Cool. Did you know that also Sony makes the lenses that goes inside of the iPhone? And that Sony also partnered with Honda in order to create a new car, because they believe in a eco-friendly, but also technology-based company that was pioneered by Tesla, because Tesla looks at themselves as a technology company instead of looking at themselves as an auto manufacturer. You see what I'm saying? So, immersing yourself in what you like. What are you curious about? And then start to explore it. And then the minute that you feel comfortable enough to understand it and you feel like you have a leg up, Warren Buffett, which is one of the most famous investors of all time, said that I would never invest in something that I didn't truly understand. And what people need to stop doing is stop trying to take shortcuts to make a quick dollar and then become invested and immersed in the thing that they believe in for the next 10 to 15 years because they truly understand it. In the same way that you need to understand whether or not somebody is coming to you to ask for a loan for their car wash at a restaurant, and you would vet it effectively, and you would very much be very aware of how it is that your money is being spent, is the same way that you need to immerse yourself in any other investment, whether it's a stock market, real estate, or whatever. Don't get sold based off of what other people are telling you. Immerse yourself and be informed as an investor yourself so that you can truly, truly understand the investments that you decide to get yourself into. That's what I would tell people.
I think that's fantastic advice, because it's so tempting to watch one YouTube video and say, oh, wow, this stock's going to the moon.
Nope.
But yeah, you really do want to understand what is happening, and that takes a lot of research and consideration. But as you said, I think when you really are interested in something and you can be immersed in it, then I think it's more effortless to actually understand it. And you can just look at it for what it is instead of like Googling and trying to read and trying so hard. And I think trying too much, you can end up throwing your money at things that don't really make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We all effortlessly deep dive into the things that we're the most curious about, whether it's video games, whether it's YouTube, whether it's content creation. A good investment, depending on where you are in your life and how much upside that you have, may be reinvesting in yourself to go back to school, or may reinvest in some equipment so that you can, create a better platform, or you might want to get Photoshop so that you can create better thumbnails, or whatever it is, right? Investing is a mindset first before it's actually throwing your money at something. And because you understand the industry that you're in, you know that, okay, well, if I invest in Photoshop, Creative Cloud, and I pay this, whatever, $50 a month or whatever it costs, I may be able to put out a better product. And now my return on my investment may be exponential because people click on my videos more because of the thumbnails is more interesting than they were before, right? Whatever that is, right? But my point is that investing is a mindset, and we need to divest ourselves from trying to make a quick dollar and start looking at the long-term implications that come along with our decisions.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, he is Anton Daniels, everybody, and thank you so much for joining. Can you tell people? I know you have a ton of channels. Can you just list some of them right now?
You can, if you put Anton Daniels inside of YouTube, it'll be my main channel with my face on it, and then the Millionaire Morning Show with Anton Daniels. Don't do coke in the bathroom.
It's good advice.
All yeah, I mean, well, the whole idea behind that is don't do it in the bathroom. Share with the group, right?
Aha.
This is Fight Club. So all of those type of channels. I own a bunch of other channels that I just kind of put my backing behind people, things like that. But just put Anton Daniels, ANTON, inside of Google, and I will pop up faster than you could ever imagine. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Indeed. And there you have it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and check them out. You will not be disappointed, and I will see you in the next
Thank you, my friend.